With the future of Aaron Rodgers unknown, how much longer he'll be playing for the New York Jets or in the NFL at all, the Jets are going to have to look to find other quarterbacks in the future, which could change everything about the franchise, and we're here to break it down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into the video. Guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because, well, frankly, we're all bummed out about the Jets. We might as well be bummed out together, and if you subscribe, well, it'll make our day a little bit better, and hopefully we can make your day a bit better also. But Matt, obviously the New York Jets, the Aaron Rodgers experiment has failed way worse than anyone could have ever imagined it possibly failing. And Aaron Rodgers, you never know when he's going to decide to call it quits and retire from football and go off and do psychedelics and, I don't know, hang out with Joe Rogan or something, or maybe do Jeopardy again. Who knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to get up to once he retires? That's not the point. He won't be playing for the New York Jets, and the Jets are going to have to go out there and find another quarterback. And Sports Illustrated recently discussed this, highlighting the fact that Aaron Rodgers, while the losses aren't his fault essentially, he isn't doing much to help winning football games either, given his age and now seemingly constant small injuries, forced by the offensive line continuing to let him get hit. Retirement continues to become more likely. There's not much left to do, given this team had a better chance to win or they don't have a better chance to win, and they're not going to get one essentially. And they've already built this veteran super team of his friends. And over the past few weeks, mock drafts have seen the Jets focus on adding pieces to a contender rather than bringing in a new quarterback. It's clear now that there's no other choice than bringing in another quarterback. Now, I mean, look, Matt, there's a bunch of different quarterbacks that we're going to go over talking about this with the rookie draft, obviously, in April. But at the same time, I think there's other options than instantly drafting a quarterback this year. And it's also the sense of, all right, the biggest part of drafting a quarterback, if you're going to do it this year, part of me hopes Aaron Rodgers sticks around for another year to at least be some sort of mentor so someone can learn from one of the smartest and greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. I really see this as a scenario where the Jets probably won't draft a quarterback, but say they do, obviously there's some top guys. I don't love the quarterback class this year. I mean, what are your thoughts on just this quarterback class? And more importantly, if the Jets should even draft one this year, stick with Rodgers if he doesn't retire.
This draft class is not a very strong draft class. Last year was phenomenal. Next year is going to be really good at the top two. This year, not very strong. It matters whether the Jets should look at a quarterback in the first round or not. Matters if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back next year. And Aaron Rodgers is only going to come back if they can maybe not make the playoffs this year, but if they can turn it around in some capacity. Because if they can finish the year with like 7 wins, Aaron Rodgers might go, you know what? We figured out something there down the stretch. I want to come back and actually do this thing the right way. And that would give us a lower draft pick, which would allow us to draft a quarterback this year where they should be drafted instead of the top of the draft. There is no quarterback this year at the moment who should be taken at the top of the first round. Those top 5 picks, those players are those picks are exclusively for players with elite traits, because you cannot draft those elite traits later in the draft. So the Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, the number 1 and 2 quarterbacks in a lot of people's minds right now, they're being mocked in the top 5. It doesn't matter that they're the best 2 quarterbacks this year, because they're going into the league where every year there's the next great young quarterbacks. And we know that they are not as good as the ones last year or next year. They're not franchise saviors. Also, this draft has so many phenomenal defensive players that top pick could be used on someone crazy like Mason Graham, who should be an elite defensive tackle out of Michigan, or his teammate, also out of Michigan, Will Johnson, the 6'2" corner, could form easily the best cornerback tandem in the league with Sauce Gardner after DJ Reed presumably moves on after the season. So if the Jets did turn it around a little bit and they got a lower draft pick and one of those top 2 guys fell in the draft, I would be all in on drafting one of them and giving them 1 year to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and watch Aaron Rodgers. Not to learn from Aaron Rodgers, because we've seen what happens when Aaron Rodgers has a quarterback drafted in the first round behind him. He has no interest in teaching him. He has no interest in coaching him, helping him. We know Aaron Rodgers is going to do his own thing. So the quarterback we would draft later there, if we got Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders from like 15 to 32, they would be able to get a year, hopefully to sit behind Rodgers and learn. Now, let's talk about the other possible scenario where the season doesn't turn around, where the season goes the way that it looks like it's going right now, where Aaron Rodgers has a terrible year, retires, Jets have no quarterback for next year. If they would then have a top 8 draft pick, they would be stuck in a draft where there are no quarterbacks that are meant to go that high. And it would be only the Jets would be the team that last year we have Aaron Rodgers, so we don't take a quarterback highly there. This year we take a quarterback who shouldn't be going that high. And then next year, when the really good quarterbacks are there, we don't take a quarterback because, we just took a quarterback in the first round last year. So the Jets, they can take a quarterback in the first round, being Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, but the important thing is they cannot reach. The only guys that are deserving of going that high would be someone with elite traits. Elite traits being something like an elite arm talent, elite athleticism. So that could be guys like if Jalen Milroe plays better than he is right now and finishes the season better and increases his draft stock to where people are talking about him in the first round, that's a player you can take in the top 5 and hope that he turns into Lamar Jackson, hope that he turns into Josh Allen. You can't take a guy like Shedeur Sanders and hope that he turns into like the top end for Shedeur Sanders with no elite traits is like a Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's having a great season now, but we know how his career started. The ceiling is not high enough on those players to A, draft them that highly, and B, the opportunity cost is also important because they would be giving up the chance to take a franchise cornerstone. The guys at the top of the draft this year, they could be really, really, really good players. And Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, they're not going to be top 8 quarterbacks. So I don't know why we would ever draft them at the top of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, it feels like specifically Sanders is more of a name than anything. I know he's talented. I understand he's one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class, but this is a weak quarterback draft class. And looking at all of them, I mean, Sports Illustrated broke all of them down, specifically pertaining to the Jets. Now, starting with Sanders, who's arguably the best, and easily the most well-known of all of them. They mentioned it's not all hype. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal at quarterback and he has the tools to be great at the next level. The biggest downside for his future as a Jet is the media circus that will always follow him around, whether he wants it or not. And there's no chance that New York wants that. I mean, yeah, obviously, you're Deion Sanders' son. The man played 2 sports. He's prime time. He's one of the most famous athletes in American history, honestly. Like, yeah, you're gonna get fouled around, especially because you're a quarterback, and you better play well. And
it's not just Deion though, Chris. Shedeur Sanders, he is always on social media. He released a rap song, and he comes out to the rap song. They listen to it at Colorado practice. He wants to be big time like that, and he is a really good fit for the Raiders. I do think the Raiders are going to draft him, but Deion Sanders has talked about how he's going to have a hand in where Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are going to get drafted, and I have to imagine he's going to tell the league the Jets can't have him, the Browns can't have him, and the Panthers can't have him. So yes, Shedeur Sanders is potentially the number 1 college quarterback right now, but at the NFL level, he doesn't look right now, does not look like he's going to be anything special.
Yeah, and I mean, moving on to the other guy you talked about, there's also Cam Ward from Miami, and we're not going to talk about him actually because I got things mixed up. This is Matt's arguably favorite quarterback in Jalen Milroe, who in the era of mobile quarterbacks making game-changing plays week to week, the Jets could go with a player in Jalen Milroe, who is the polar opposite of Rodgers. Any single play can end up in the end zone with Milroe, whether it be on the ground with his legs or uncorking a deep ball with his arm. I mean, even just seeing that, your mind goes to Josh Allen is the ceiling.
Yeah, but Jalen Milroe, if I'm ranking my quarterbacks, my number 1 guy is Cam Ward. The number 2 guy is Shedeur Sanders. But if you told me right now that the Jets are going to draft a quarterback in the top 5, I am burning all my jerseys if it's not either Jalen Milroe or Drew Aller, because those are the guys with the elite traits that you can look at and go, okay, the plan is to develop this guy and turn the crazy mobility of Jalen Milroe into something. Turn the monster arm of Drew Aller into something. Those are the two guys that I can stomach drafting in the top 5. If they take one of the other guys, I would not be able to handle it. But I want to make one thing clear that I don't think Jalen Milroe or Drew Aller are going right now. It doesn't look like they're going to be first round picks, and they shouldn't be first round picks right now. But if they play better, they are in the offseason when people are scouting stuff and start thinking about what guys could be, their stock is going to skyrocket. This time last year, only a select few people were thinking about Jaden Daniels this high, but some people realized, hey, he runs a pro-style offense at LSU, so he's making full-field reads. He knows how to read real NFL concepts. He has this rushing upside that gives defensive coordinators in the SEC fits. And yes, he has these great wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but he's still destroying records by throwing the ball. He's breaking Joe Burrow's records. He is just playing quarterback at an incredibly high level. So these meteoric rises do happen, and players get drafted off of their traits all the time. That's what a lot of times happens in the first round of the draft.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Jaden Daniels balling out, so it's really all that has to be said there. Play was awesome watching that Hail Mary. But on to Cam Ward. Cam Ward's been on professional radars for a couple of years now since shining at Incarnate World, but Ward has become a household name in an electric Hurricanes offense. He has every tool that a coach or scout could ask for, but still at times looks raw as a processor. Now, we were talking a tiny bit before we started filming this, and you did mention that Cam Ward has a bit of a turnover problem, and that does not exactly get fixed all the time in the NFL.
Yeah, so Sam Darnold had the same problem, and Sam Darnold looks great now, but he obviously had some pretty poor years with the Jets, and we knew he was better than what he was with the Jets, so we're not surprised at all by what he's doing right now. But Cam Ward starts at Incarnate Ward, goes up another level to the Pac-12, plays for Washington State, then goes up another level and plays for Miami, and every single time he goes up level, his play raises to meet the demand of what is required of him, which that I really love to see. I love to see his arm strength, the flexibility of his arm, the ability to make these crazy throws, the sideways throws, the whatever, type of flexible arm type throws you want to make. He has a strong arm too, so he can make a lot of deep throws. His arm is stronger than Shedeur Sanders, but it's still not elite, and that turnover problem is something crazy, but I do think every single game, whenever Miami needs to play, he always needs to be there, and they've needed a lot of plays because he likes to make mistakes early in the game and put the team down. In the NFL, they're not going to be able to climb out of those holes. Cam Ward, he's my number one quarterback right now. He is a very exciting player, and it seems like his teammates love him because everyone's doing a celebration anytime good happens for Miami. So I am excited to see where he goes, but I do not have any no want to draft him in the top 5.
No desire of the top 5 pick, according to you. Now, one other guy to mention is Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, and as Sports Illustrated mentioned, the Carson Beck experience has soured a lot for people with the Bulldogs passer falling short in the national stage a couple of times, but there was a reason that he had all the hype to begin with. The right coaching staff could absolutely turn him into an all-pro. I mean, yeah, look, Georgia's perennially good at football. They've had a lot of good wins. Carson Beck knows how to win games, but also he's dropped a few on some big stages. Yeah, so I didn't realize you had this graphic, but I'm ready for it because Carson Beck was everyone's number one quarterback coming into the season because just like the three guys that I was telling everyone have the best chance to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft because of elite traits. Number 1 is Carson Beck. Number 2 is Drew Aller. Number 3 was Jalen Milroe. What Carson Beck brings to the table is he's 6'4", 2 inches taller than Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, 161, 162. He has a stronger arm than both of those guys. He has significantly better mechanics than both those guys. He makes faster decisions than both of those guys. So why have I not talked about him yet? Because he's not good. We are hoping that this year he's going to put it all together, but he hasn't. Every single game, like he gets these opportunities, and it just doesn't do well. There were some games last year, watching the Alabama game, there were just mistakes all over it from last year.
And then I watched 3 other games of him in all 22 film, and he looked a lot better. He makes quick decisions. Like I said, his feet are always where they need to be. His feet follow his eyes to making each read, and it looks like he could be something. And I thought that a coach could maybe make something out of that. And then you see Georgia versus Texas, and you saw the earlier big game from Georgia. Oh, right, it was Georgia versus Alabama where he put them down really badly early. He did make a really good comeback, but I still don't like what I saw out of that first half, and really starting to sour on Carson Beck just because he's not playing well enough. He's not showing us what we need to see from him. Do you have a illustration, like a picture for Quinn Ewers as well?
No, I do not. Sports Illustrated
Okay.
hardly covered him and just compared him to Carson Beck.
Yeah. So Quinn Ewers, real quick, top recruit out of high school, goes to Ohio State, then goes over to Texas. You're excited for him because these top recruits, you're thinking they could be something special in college and the next level. The problem with wow, I just forgot his name. With problem with Quinn Ewers is his deep ball accuracy is terrible, and he doesn't get better from year to year. So there's no reason he's given us no reason to believe that he's going to continue getting better in the NFL. So that's why Quinn Ewers don't want him at all.
Okay, now real quick, because this is going to be the longest video we've ever released on Jets Digest already, but it's a fun one. So we're going to play a quick game that I'm just going to throw these guys' names at you. Just give me an NFL comparison. That's it. Milroe.
Dude, this is harder than you think because Milroe, he, like, I want to say better Malik Willis.
Word. Okay. Quinn Ewers, just because we just talked about him, and I'll forget him.
It's Chris. The problem is these guys, they don't, like I said, they don't have elite traits. They don't have that, like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, they do everything pretty well, but they don't have that one standout thing that makes you like, oh, that reminds me of this guy. That reminds me of this guy. They're all just like, yeah, they're pretty good at quarterback, but it's not reminiscent of anybody. So that's why it's tough for me to give you to answer these questions for you right now.
Well, we'll come back around. We're gonna start doing. This came off the top of my head around a minute into the video. We're going to start doing once in a while, especially because the Jets suck. We're going to do some Jets mock drafts throughout the time because I know you love to talk college football also. So we'll do some Jets mock drafts every once in a while, just talk about who they should pick, with the projected pick they're going to have and all that. It'll be a great time. Because we got a ton of fun stuff coming for you guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We might be the best part of the Jets this season, honestly. And not to toot my own horn, but that's really how I think of things. We have fun suffering together, so you guys don't want to miss out. Like this video, subscribe. If you tuned in to all this, you're the man or the woman or whatever you choose that makes you happy. Guys, have a great day and go Jets.